boys and girls. Okay, today we're going to peel off the tape and we're going to be adding some shadows along the sides of the trees, and we're also going to be giving them the feeling that they are a birch tree by adding these little scar lines. So birch trees a lot of times have little black lines on them. This has been done with oil pastel, but you have the option. You can use marker, you can use watercolor, or you can use oil pastel if you choose, or crayon. Even a black crayon would work for this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is peel off all of your tape, and then I'm only going to do one of these just because you don't want to sit here and watch me peel off all my tape. Oh, and if you have salt, like I do, brush off that salt. Try to do it either on your messy mat and then dump it in the garbage, or do it over the garbage. Okay, so my paint leaked onto my tree right there, but that's okay, because as an artist, it's an opportunity to be creative. I know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to make sure that part of these little lines here are covering that, so I'm going to do little lines right there on that one. The little black lines, if you're using a Sharpie, it's fine. You could but you want just to put little kind of slightly curved lines along the edges, starting at this line right here. Don't go out into the sky. Whatever you do, start at your line and just do little bits of those, okay? Or, so this is one option. I could do this. I could put them on there with that. And really what these scars are is it's where a branch breaks off. That's what it is. So the other way to do that is to take your watercolors, take some black paint, and then not a lot. Make sure your brush has, I'm trying to make sure I don't have hardly any on my brush because I just went a little bit. Oh, and I guess before I do this, I would do the shadow going up the side of the tree. So you see this shadow. Decide where your light's coming from. So if my light's coming from over here, and I'm going to make it similar to this one, where the light is coming from, say, up where this dish is, the shadow would be cast on the ground this way, and the shadow on the tree would be on the back side of the tree. So I'm going to put a shadow right along the back side of the tree. Okay, so my shadow is sort of a light line, very thin line that runs down the back side of the tree. And what this will look like then is like, hey, that's the side of the tree that's not getting the sunlight. Okay, and I would do it on both of these too. And then, like I said, you can choose to do chalk. You could do this with watercolor. I could do my shadows on the ground with watercolor. I could do it with chalk. I'm going to do it with chalk just to show you different mediums, but I could do it with the watercolor too. I could take and make my lines coming out. The most important thing about your shadow, and I think we talked about this in the last video, is that it needs to be the same angle. So if I have this one going this way, I don't want this shadow coming down like this. I want them all going at the same angle. So whatever angle you choose, you got to stick with that, because that's where the sun is casting the shadow. Okay? So I'm going to pretend, let's see, I'll do a blue, I think. Yeah, I got a lot of that. I'm going to pretend like the sun is coming from over here. So my shadow is going to go at this angle right here. And so you're going to go from one edge of your tree at that angle, and then start on the other edge and go the same angle. My chalk doesn't want to write. There we go. And then if you're doing chalk, you're just going to shade it in. If you're doing this with watercolors, you want to make sure you're doing a very, very, very soft watercolor, okay, because your shadow wouldn't be super dark. So there's one. Now, this is where it really is important that I match this same angle. So I'm going to come up here to this one, and I'm going to do one to this angle right here. And I'm guessing it would still cast that shadow onto this piece of land, and it would also be casting it over here. So I'm going to go all the way to the edge of my paper here, because I'm assuming this tree is pretty tall. It probably even goes up beyond where you can see. I really did pick a bad piece of chalk. It doesn't want to work there. So I'm making my lines go at the same angle, and then I'm going to shade this in so it looks like there's a shadow on the ground. And it really gives it the feeling that this is a real thing. I could go ahead and do the one here, even though I haven't peeled off the tape. I'm going to go at the same angle, starting on one edge, right? And on that angle on this edge. It's going to run right into this tree. Okay? This part might be shining in. Same thing with this tree. Here and here. And then I'm going to shade it in. If it's a skinny tree, it should be a skinny shadow. If it's a wider tree, it should be a wider shadow. This tree doesn't look finished to me, so I told you I was going to show you one other method, and I was going to do the lines with black, right? With the black paint. So you can use paint to do this. It's okay. There we go. That's starting to look better. So like this and this. You see how I'm kind of curving them just slightly? Don't curve them a lot, but if you curve it a little bit, it makes the tree look more three-dimensional, right? It makes it look like it's curved. So by just curving my lines, and I'm trying to make them different lengths, so some long ones, some short ones, you know, just drag them wherever you think they might be. You might even put a few in the middle here. That's going to make it look more like a birch tree. And I feel like I made a few on this one. There we go. Now, last things for me is to peel the rest of this off and do the same thing to those. When that's done, I need to take a picture of this, put it in my Artsonia account. I also need to check and make sure that my name and class code are on the back. Okay? Have fun!